about right. That's all time. That's all time.
Derek Jeter is top 3 shortstop.
Good morning, good afternoon. This is Tanks and Tuddies, presented by Tubbs and Franke. Let's begin with me stating I am sick. So this is a flu game episode here. I've been dealing about a week now of just common cold symptoms, different one every single day. So I sound like shit. I look like shit. I apologize. Nothing we can do about it. Little podcast update. We did look ahead at the calendar. Christmas Eve as well as New Year's Eve are on a Tuesday this year. That's our recording night. So those 2 weeks, granted, most of you probably will be with family anyways and not listening, but they might be just a short, just me or us with you called in on a phone just to update anything major that happened, but not a normal episode. We're going to figure that out as we go. Yeah, we'll just figure that out as we go. But I gotta assume a lot of you won't be listening anyways those weeks. So let's get into it. We have a lot of football to talk about with the college football playoff, as well as a big matchup last week on Thursday night. So I'm going to fly through Locks and Longshots. We are going to fly as well as the Dynasty updates. So let's start there. I got my screens messed up. I got them backwards. What am I thinking? Dynasty update. Me and Pops are both undefeated. Franke dropped his first game to number 1 Ohio State. We got a big matchup. I had a huge comeback victory against. Do you remember who I was playing when I was telling you that? It was Wisconsin.
Yes.
It was Wisconsin. I was down, I think 16-0 with like halfway through the third, and I came back and won it. So that was electric.
Wins a thriller 20-16.
20-16. There you go. We're about halfway through the season. I know that I play Pops coming up here shortly. I don't know where. I am going to play a game tonight at least to catch up because I think you and Pops both played. So, but we're about halfway through. So next week, we might have possible championship update at the rate we're going right now.
We're cooking.
We are doing really well with group chat texting. Hey, I played. Hey, who hasn't advanced? Oh, let me play real quick. That's been really good.
Do we have a potential addition coming after this season?
We do. Brother Tubbs, is that what what are we gonna call him? Baby Tubbs. Lil Tubbs. He did get an Xbox, so he will be joining. I'm thinking maybe we get through the season. Hopefully when we get to this weekend, we'll be at a good spot because I'll be able to play Saturday night and Sunday. Saturday night and Sunday. So maybe we can kind of get through this season and then add him or fresh start another one. We'll figure all that out. But that'll be good to add to the Dynasty updates. So nothing crazy, though. Just the big update was that Franke did lose, but it was to the number 1 team in the country. So,
and I also can't throw Cade McNamara.
That's Iowa. So. Yeah, that's Iowa for you. Locks and Longshots then. Last week I had just won. I had the Packers plus 3.5 at the Lions on Thursday night. I told you that was a lock. It hit 51-37-1 now on the locks, really coming through here. I remember I was a little bit below 500 like a month or two ago. Football, man, I'm telling you, football is my spot. It sucks though that straight betting isn't fun to me. I couldn't make money either. Like, that's a record that probably if I bet every single one of my locks, I'd probably be up like, if I was $10 units, I'd probably be up like $35. So nothing crazy there. This week though, we're going stupid. Army Navy over 38.5. I believe I've taken this the last 2 or 3 years. It definitely hit in one of them. This year is the best spot for it to hit. Usually this number is like 22, 23.5, but obviously both offenses have been over teams this year. So we just got to hope and pray. I don't think it was last year it hit. I think it was the year before because I was at my parents' house. Or no, I don't remember. But it has hit before. It can do it again. And everybody and their sister is going to take the under. So 49ers money line versus the Rams on Thursday Night Football, minus 135. I called it last week with the Bills losing to the Rams in a letdown spot. They still look like a good team. But now the Rams, that was their Super Bowl. They're back in the playoff conversation. The 49ers also got a big win. They're back in the playoff conversation. That whole division is a mess. So give me the 49ers. They're at home. And then Ravens Giants over 43. The Ravens can get this on their own. They're going to put up 45 minimum. And then Lions -2.5 versus the Bills. We got 10 days of rest. Watch out, NFL. We finally got some rest. And then last one. This one's stupid, but I thought it was clever. Chiefs -4 at the Browns. The Chiefs haven't covered in 7 straight games, which made me want to take the Browns, which is why I took the Chiefs. Do the opposite of what you think when you think you have an edge, because usually that's when I lose, when I'm like, ooh, I found a trend. Nope, it always fucks up. So we're going to take the opposite side. They're going to cover. Long shots then, still open. Terrion Arnold over 2.5 picks. Doesn't have one. Brian Branch, Defensive Player of the Year, plus 4,000. My cash out is now back to even, though, so that's a good sign. I believe he's back to plus 4,000. He went up. He did play well against Green Bay. He didn't get ejected, so that was probably the big point.
Are you thinking about cashing out?
Absolutely not. I put $5 on it, so I'm not. Okay. Now, if that does climb to like a 20 or a 30 somehow, which I don't think it will, because there's so many other secondary players that are having better years. Yeah. There's too many other secondary players that are having great years. Like you got Cooper DeJean, Quinyon Mitchell, and then you got TJ Watt's having a great year. Myles Garrett's playing great. So
a Packer.
Mm-mm.
Okay.
He got burnt. He got burnt on Thursday. No, he is above him in the standings though, just because him and Kirby are. He who shall not be named. They're above him in the rankings because of the picks. They're both. Is he leading or is Kirby's one back? Isn't he?
Let me double check. I actually have ESPN up right now. Stats. Okay. Let's see. Defensive leaders, and yeah, McKinney is first. Joseph is actually tied. 7.
Okay, so they're tied. All right. Yeah, so Kirby, and I believe they're the same odds, but it'll be a D lineman. This was a good shout, though. It was kind of fun. Last week, Packers money line that lost. I'm really pissed about that loss. So long shots now we're 20-44-2. This week, though, we've got 2 of them. We've got the Browns money line plus 170. Now, you're thinking to yourself, but you just took the Chiefs -4. Well, there was also a small part of me that was like, man, the Browns could win this game. They're at home. So I'm either going to be right or I'm going to be double wrong. It's worth a shot, you know?
Risk reward.
If the Chiefs win by they love winning by 3 right now. This is stupid. I'm leaving it. I don't care. And then Steelers plus 195 at the Eagles. I love this because the Eagles are having some internal problems right now, which is weird because they're playing well. Well, I wouldn't say well. They're winning. But
they were playing well until last week.
Yep, they were playing great, actually, until last week. Then they almost lost to the Panthers. And then A.J. Brown says the passing is the problem. He doesn't say the offense. He said the passing. And then I think it was Brandon Graham said that him and Jalen Hurts have beef. So great spot for the Steelers, who are a good team. They got a good defense. Jalen Hurts also just cannot read a defense. So I think the Steelers could do some crazy shit to get in his head. But got to stop Saquon. He looked really good on Sunday again. But your locks and long shots.
All right. Locks, I am 58-47-1. Still have the Packers to make the playoffs open. Took a hit this week, but either way, I still think this looks pretty great. It would be very hard for them to miss at this point, I would say. Last week, not a bad week, 2-1. Had SMU money line minus 135 against Clemson. They lost outright, obviously. I will say, great game, great comeback by SMU. One of the more fun second halves I've seen in a while. I didn't watch much of this game until the second half, but I thought it was dead in the water at halftime. SMU was getting absolutely killed. Then they stepped on the gas. If only their defense could have made one more stop, they would have won this game. So yeah, lost there. Arizona State money line minus 125 versus Iowa State last week. They won. A lot of people were on Iowa State and they thought it was going to be a close game. Arizona State is playing way too good right now, and they absolutely throttled Iowa State. So fun, easy win there. And then we had Packers plus 3.5 on Thursday night against the Lions. That hit as well. This week, I'm going to jump on the bandwagon with Jake. I will take the Army-Navy over 38.5. This is probably the first time I've taken Army-Navy over in my entire lifetime. I am always the guy that's on the under. They say life is too short to take the under, and I apparently think my life is very, very short because I'm always on unders, which I hate. So we're going to flip and have some fun for once and be a fun guy, just a fun, chill guy. Taking the over 38.5 there. Taking the Packers money line versus the Seahawks. I think both teams are playing great. I think this is probably going to be a tough game. I didn't want to take the spread because of the fact that we're playing in Seattle and we don't play well when we travel out to the West Coast. But nonetheless, I'm taking the Packers money line. And then I'm taking the Bills +2 against the Lions.
They are 2.5 on DraftKings if you want to bump that up.
I am taking the Bills +2.5 against the Lions. Bills just look great. I mean, the Lions do too. This is a perfect bounce back spot for Buffalo. Everybody's going to be taking the Lions after that loss, and just the perfect time for Buffalo to come in. I think Kincaid gets healthy. I think Keon Coleman gets healthy, and get a full Buffalo team against a banged up Detroit team. So long shots, 28-74-1. Yes, I said 28-74-1. Last week we had the Packers money line, lost. Browns money line, lost. We did hit the Seahawks money line +114 against the Cardinals. That one felt way too easy. I wish I would have put more on that. I think I actually had real money on that. So this week I had the Bills +2.5. We're going to take the Bills money line as well. Just gave that explanation. I'm going to take the Dolphins money line as well. That one they are up against. Who are they up against? Against the Texans. Texans are coming off a bye. Dolphins looked pretty good this week. This is just simply rust versus rest. Dolphins are hot. Will the Texans be rusty or rusted? So take my chance on the Dolphins there. I'm going to throw out two futures.
These are fun
for the college football playoff. I have a weird reasoning for the first one. I'm taking Penn State to reach the college football playoff final at +190. This does not mean they have to win the whole thing. This just means they have to play in the championship. I saw a video on TikTok where they simulated the entire college football bracket in college football 25, and Penn State won it all. Now, I know what you're thinking. James Franklin can't win the big one. What if he just flips the script and wins all the big games that matter at the end of the year?
Can you imagine going from people talking about firing you after you've gone pretty much 10-2 every season? You just went to the Big Ten Championship. You're in the playoff. And then they're talking about firing you because you can't win the big one, and then you go and you win the big one.
Yeah, and I mean,
crazy.
They honestly,
Aller looked.
I don't want to overlook SMU. I think SMU is a good team, and we'll get into it later. But having to play SMU, and then if you win, you play Boise. That's probably your second easiest route for the first two games.
Ooh,
I would say out of any teams.
Texas has it easier?
I think Texas probably has it easier, although I would say Clemson is probably a...
No.
Well, Clemson, head-to-head, if you take head-to-head, Clemson did beat SMU, so...
Yeah, I think Texas has it easier, one, because I'm not afraid of Clemson at all. And then two, Arizona State, I don't think. I would rather play Arizona State than Genty, is basically what it comes down to.
Yeah,
for me.
I would agree with that. And then, I mean, even if you look at the bottom of the bracket, that side for Penn State, it's Notre Dame, who I don't fully trust, Indiana, who we saw what they did in their one big game, and then Georgia, who I don't trust, and we don't know what's going on. Yeah. I was going to say, we don't know what's going on with their quarterback. So if there's any team that I like to come out of that bottom, it would probably be Penn State, I guess. So we'll take that at +190, just a little fun one. And then the other one is Oregon to win the championship. I think Oregon might actually have the hardest path through the entire thing. But I also think that they're probably the best team in the entire playoff right now. And they just look unstoppable. So might as well throw a little bit on the favorite to just continue to roll. So
couple of things that I didn't get to interject with was that 65% of all bets are on the Lions spread. So good pick there. And then Packers are currently -6,000 to make the playoffs. So pretty good.
Okay. Yeah. I would say we're fine.
Let's talk college football then. We'll kind of wrap up conference championships real quick because we know everybody watched those, but then we'll give our thoughts on the bracket. We kind of did right there a little bit, and then we're going to do predictions. We'll do championship matchup, and then winner. So we'll start with Friday. Boise beat UNLV 21-7. Genty looked good again. I don't think it was enough to steal the Heisman, but
209 and a touchdown isn't bad, but
209 and a touchdown, but it's like it felt like he needed, 3 and 2,
Yeah.
That would have been great. But 200 yards was phenomenal. I have seen a lot of Heisman voters that said they still don't know how they're going to vote. I think votes are due tomorrow, but Genty's plus 900, so it's not like it's a long shot. You know what I mean?
So what I think is weird is that the books are all very heavy on Travis Hunter, and it's like not even close. Travis Hunter is the runaway favorite.
Mm-hmm.
But then if you go on social media and like, I think it's just College Football Playoff or some Twitter page, it's an official verified account, posts every week like a poll, and you get to vote for who you think the Heisman is. I obviously vote for Genty every week, and Genty gets like 55 to 60% of the votes every week. And Travis Hunter, I don't think ever gets more than like 40. So I'm like, the public is very heavy on Genty. Voters don't necessarily know which way they're going. You're seeing college analysts say Travis Hunter. I don't know.
It's probably as much of a, I'm not going to say toss-up because it's not really a toss-up, but it is the most unknown Heisman in a while, I feel like. Normally once they're announced, you're like, oh, he's
so
got it.
Different like campaigns to go off of. And it's just like, if they picked Travis Hunter, I wouldn't be shocked. I would be disappointed. If they picked Ashton Genty, I wouldn't be shocked. But like, I don't know.
I wish more people thought of it this way. If you remove each player from their teams, where are their teams without them? Without Genty, Boise's maybe under 500, barely making a bowl game. Travis Hunter in Colorado, they have a similar year. They're right there at the end, and then they lose, and they miss, they get a bowl game.
They also lost 3 games, and they didn't play anybody big.
Exactly.
Like,
Genty played Oregon and put up stats. It's just, in my opinion, it's Genty. I don't think he's a runaway. Travis Hunter's very good, but the stat padding that they did at the end of the year really helped Travis Hunter, I think, because they left him in the whole game. Also, his last game, up 42-0, still throwing to him over the top. Like, if Genty stat padded, he would have broke the record. He would have done this. He would have done that. He didn't play all these games. So, it's interesting. I think it's going to be a must-watch ceremony. What is it, Saturday at 8?
I'm not even sure, to be honest with you.
It's going to be must-watch. And obviously, if Genty wins, you and I are going to be very happy people.
Oh, yeah.
Excuse me.
Very rich.
Next up is Arizona State. They went from worst to first in the Big 12. They were projected to finish last, and they won the championship. I think it was like plus 12,000 before the year for them to win the Big 12, which is outrageous.
And wasn't
their quarterback
the
was
Big
an
12
MC
standings
Spartan.
right now? Yeah, I'm pulling up the Big 12 standings right now, but weren't like 3 of the top 4 teams all projected to finish in like the bottom 3, and then like the 3 of the top 4. Okay, so what it was Utah, Arizona, and Oklahoma State were all projected to finish at the top. They finished as 3 of the bottom 4. Then I think it was supposed to be like BYU, Arizona State, and Baylor were supposed to finish at the bottom, and they finished as 3 of the top 5.
That's crazy.
Or something like that.
And that's the most Big 12 thing of all time, though, when you take out the Big 12
just gets flipped on its head. Yeah.
Yep. And then the other, well, no, not the other. They were all very good games, actually. I take that back. The Arizona State game was a blowout. Also, former MSU quarterback Sam Leavitt. Georgia beat Texas with their backup quarterback. He's a baller. He didn't really make any crazy throws. His first drive was like, why hasn't he been starting? And then after that, you kind of saw it. But he did a lot of design runs that looked good. And they won in overtime against Texas. I also
think it's funny that his name is Gunner. Gunner is such a Georgia name.
Yep. Carson Beck, you think he's done?
Honestly, I thought he tore his UCL and like is going to.
I thought it was going to be the same thing that Purdy had, and I think he's done. Kind of cool. Like, I don't like Georgia, but kind of cool that he went in and had to hand off the ball on the game-winning touchdown. Kind of cool.
Yeah.
Texas's kicker, he's getting bashed in the media. He missed a 40-something yarder that would have ended up winning the game. It was earlier in the game, but if they had it, they would have been able to play different, blah, blah, blah. But then also Georgia would have played different. But awesome game. Texas still gets in. I was upset.
Texas might have. I don't think they lost on purpose, but
no, I think they benefited from this though.
I was going to say I definitely think they benefited because looking at it now, like they get to play Clemson, and then if they win, they play Ohio or Arizona State. And if they would have won, they would have had to play the winner of Notre Dame, Indiana,
and then you might have had Penn State.
Yeah, like I don't know,
Boise, but I think they definitely won because now that I look at it as if you get through Clemson, I think Arizona State's gonna be a layup for them. I think that'll be a double-digit spread, and then you get Oregon. Let's assume Oregon wins. They're gonna be beat up from Ohio State or Tennessee, no matter what. So yeah, it's a good spot. I don't think they lost in that aspect, but would have been cool for them to go into the SEC and win in their first year. That also would have been cool. Speaking of Oregon, we kind of mentioned it. They outlasted Penn State. That game was the opposite of what I think a lot of people expected. It was just an absolute shootout. It was just touchdown galore, over city. And Oregon ended up covering, which is wild. What was I going to say? Completely different Big Ten championship from like the last three, because Michigan's been in the last three, and they're all, well, two of the last three were Michigan ground and pound, burn out the clock, and then the Purdue game, Purdue put up some points, so it was a little higher scoring, but just total shootout, no defense. I think there was like 2 or 3 punts throughout the whole game.
Let me look and see.
Maybe even less than that.
There was 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 6 total punts.
Oh, shit.
Oregon punted 4 times, actually. Oregon punted more than Penn State.
What was Oregon's biggest lead in this game? Weren't they up pretty big? Yeah, they were up 28-10.
Pretty early. Before half.
10 minutes left in the second. It was 31-24 at half, so they did slow down a little.
Granted, Penn State's offense was, I don't want to say bad in the first half, but they just made some untimely errors, throwing that interception at the 1 yard line.
Yep.
Not great.
Yep. And then the last game, I probably would you say it was the best game out of all of them, Clemson and SMU? I would say so.
I mean, it's hard to say because Georgia Texas went to overtime.
Yep.
And like that's
that game, the Georgia Texas game for me too. Texas had like a nice little comeback at the end, but you had SMU's crazy comeback. What were they down? They were down huge.
It was 24-7 at half.
Yeah, and then they come back, they tie it up, but then Clemson returns the kick. They walk off field goal. It was a long
56-yarder. Yeah.
Yep. So,
not just a little.
Those games were happening at the same time. No, Clemson Georgia was earlier. Or Georgia Texas was earlier. That was the 4:00. Yeah. It was at the same time as Oregon Penn State, which was kind of back and forth right around the same time.
Game. Yeah.
So I had the 2 screens going. It was awesome. I'm glad they kept SMU in over Alabama. I did bet on Alabama to make it, but that was strictly just I'm trying to make money. I think the committee's going to put them in. I'm very happy they didn't.
Did you place that Sunday morning?
Sunday morning, like half an hour before they announced it.
Okay. So I have a story. I almost got trapped. When you sent that, I was like, you know what? Shit, I'm going to go see if I can get a bet on SMU to make it. And so it was like right as they had started. And I was like, maybe I can like live bet this right before they announce it. Mm-hmm. And so I think they had announced like Oregon and Georgia. And I was like, okay, let's see if we can get SMU. And I went to the futures, went to college football playoff, and I saw SMU at like plus 4,400. And I was like, oh shit, I'm going to have to take this. So I clicked on it and then I read it and it said to win the college football playoff. And I was like, All right.
Way to slow down. Way to slow down.
But yeah. I almost put a chunk of change on SMU plus 4,400. That would have been very bad. It would have been a horrible start to my Sunday. Instead, Bama misses the playoff, and my Sunday started great. So,
yep. So Bama was the first team out. Second team out was Miami.
Sure.
I feel bad for South Carolina. I know they had no shot. But also shout out to SMU for losing, because if they wouldn't have lost, Bama would have gotten in with SMU. So shout out to SMU. You did the right thing. So we've got the bracket here.
If SMU would have won, they probably would have jumped Arizona State.
Because
I think they would have.
Yeah, but then Arizona State would have been the 12, and Bama would have been the 11. Because Clemson would have fallen out. And they would have left Clemson. Clemson would have fallen out. So if SMU lost, Bama got in because Clemson would have fallen out.
SMU probably benefits from this too then. I guess they would have had a bye, but
yeah. Did you see what's Indiana's coach's name? Kurt Segnetti?
Yeah.
He said they asked, I don't know how they got the coaches to say this, but they asked all the coaches what their expectations were on announcement day. And a lot of them, most of them said, we want to get a bye. But Segnetti says, I expect to get a bye. It's like, brother, you're barely sneaking in.
You didn't win.
And you didn't win a conference championship. Yeah.
All right,
what are you doing? So,
your
should seedings are...
talk a sec about Nick Saban being very pissed off.
Yeah, Nick Saban is the biggest Alabama homer that there is, and he was just ripping
rightfully
the committee.
So, but
ripping the committee about Bama not being in. And he you could tell he was trying his hardest to not make it about Bama, but that's all there was to make it about. He was trying to relate it to the seeding and, this team should be higher because they won harder games. And I think it more boils down to, I think he's pissed about Boise being in and Bama being out. I think it was Boise for him because he kept bringing up strength of schedule, and Boise's got the weakest strength of schedule out of all the teams. Yeah. And then he kept saying Alabama, and then he would say something about the strength of schedule and these other teams that fought hard and this team. And it's like, dude, just be honest. You're pissed that Bama
Wisconsin got mentioned.
Yeah.
Bama said, we have tough games like so-and-so and Wisconsin and Texas. I said, hey, Wisconsin made the college football playoff show today. So
twice. That's
all that mattered to me. No, one was by Javi in our group chat.
Oh, okay.
That was when I said Wisconsin mentioned again. So
gotcha. He was like, oh yeah, they're going to start scheduling cupcake schedules and non-power fives. And it's like,
yeah, he's like, if I were Alabama, I'd go cancel all those games right now.
It's like, actually, Nick, your team did play somebody that was struggling in Oklahoma, and you lost. And also Vandy, you lost that game. And also, you had a bye week, week 11.
How pissed do you think Saban is at, what's his fucking name? The coach's name? DeBoer. I saw some funny TikToks of that, too.
He's probably pretty pissed because... Yeah, because you can't lose to Oklahoma. Were they at home for that game? Yeah, that was at home.
I don't think so.
You can't lose to Vandy. And I feel like that boils down to coaching because the talent is superior. Mm-hmm. So that's got to come down to coaching, and that's completely on DeBoer. Because who else they lose to?
Oklahoma on the road.
Oh, okay. It's Oklahoma.
Tennessee on the road.
Tennessee's losses
on the road. All three losses were on the road.
Okay. Still on coaching, though, with Vandy and Oklahoma. The talent is superior, especially when a backup quarterback's playing. You also had Milroe, who was a Heisman candidate at the start of the year, and you ruined him. So, yeah. Signetti, though, got to give him his props. He did say, all I do is win, and he's in the playoff. He took Indiana to the playoff. Granted, it's a little bit asterisk-y, in my opinion, because
cupcakes
outside of Ohio State, and you played a Michigan team that sucks dick, so... So the seeding, Oregon's 1, Georgia's 2, Boise's 3, Arizona State's 4. Those are all conference champions. They get a bye. The other conference champion was Clemson. They got the 12 seed. So then your matchups are Ohio State and Tennessee. That's a big game in Columbus. Texas and Clemson. That game that's at Texas. And then Penn State, SMU, and then Notre Dame and Indiana. Notre Dame, Indiana is somewhat cool, the in-state rivalry. However, I think that's the game I'm least excited to watch of the bunch. I'm most excited for Ohio State and Tennessee, obviously. The other thing that's funny to me is like twisting your brain into thinking of it as a poll, right? So you got Ohio State and Tennessee ranked at 8 and 9, but then Boise's ranked 3 and Arizona State is ranked 4th.
Yeah.
Or you get Texas is at 5 and they have 2 losses, but both to Georgia. So let's pick winner then. And we already kind of went through the paths. The game schedule is weird. What is it? It's next weekend and then it's New Year's Eve and day.
Yeah. Is it
There's
next
3
weekend?
games on New
Yeah.
Year's
So
Day.
the first game is Friday the 20th, Notre Dame, Indiana.
Yep.
And then we have Tennessee, Ohio State,
yeah.
SMU, Penn State, and Clemson, Texas, all on Saturday.
So Ohio State is going to get big noon kickoff, huh?
No, sorry, I read that backwards. Tennessee's at the top because it's favorited in my ESPN. So it's SMU at Penn State for the big noon game, Clemson, Texas for the 3:00 game, Tennessee, Ohio State for the night game.
That makes more sense. Okay.
Yep.
So let's do. Will you type them in there so I don't click clack in the microphone?
Yeah.
Let's
are we going game by game or
matchup?
just?
No, we'll just do championship and winner, and then I guess if we do something outrageous, we can talk about it. So I'm going to take Texas over. Give me Texas over Georgia. Can't beat a team 3 times.
That's funny you say that.
I know that's probably chalky. Well, it's not because you got Oregon there, but it's a little bit swayed by my Texas future. I have a future of Texas, but I do think Clemson they can beat. Arizona State I think is a cupcake, and then you're pretty much like Arizona State. You might be able to put in Arch. Maybe they want to put in Arch. So Quinn Ewers didn't look awesome, but then you got it. All you got to do is win. You just got to beat Oregon, Ohio State, or Tennessee. That's a fucking toss-up for me between those 3. I feel like either of those teams can win. Ohio State being at the bottom. But I think Georgia rolls through their region. Maybe not, though. You never know. So, yeah, Texas over Georgia.
I'm going to go Oregon over... I kind of want to do Notre Dame, but I think I'm going to put Penn State.
That's a good pick.
Oregon over Penn State.
Now, see that there's a lot of good possible storylines here for the championship. You could have an Oregon Penn State rematch, and then James Franklin coaching for his job ? Georgia Texas for the 3rd time. Tennessee Georgia, that was close, wasn't it? Tennessee Georgia the first time.
Georgia, or no? Yeah. You want to know what my biggest upset that I could actually see happening, and I might actually place some money on?
What's that?
Is
Tennessee lost
Clemson,
to Georgia by 14, but that game was close.
Clemson to make the title game.
I don't see it.
Plus 1,600. I think Quinn Ewers has been so-so. Clemson's been playing better. They then have to play Arizona State. If you get, I think either Tennessee or Ohio State could win that game, and I think either of them could realistically probably compete with Oregon. Whether or not they win, that's a different story. But if you get an upset there, then you've got one of them versus Clemson, and I think Clemson could also beat either of Tennessee or Ohio State.
I just don't think Clemson gets past Texas. Texas' defense is good. They have a good defense.
I would agree.
Let me give you another storyline here. Boise, Oregon, the rematch. Can you imagine?
And then all the Heisman voters that didn't vote for Genty are...
Yeah. Imagine a world where Travis Hunter wins the Heisman this Saturday, and then Boise goes on a run, makes the championship, beats Oregon, and Genty has 300 yards in the ship, wins player of the game, whatever. Oh my God.
Ooh, that would be a pretty good storyline. The revenge arc.
Honestly, like Boise, I don't know about their defense stopping some of these teams, but Genty, I feel like, can run over anybody, and he's got a bye.
Well, and that's the thing. Like, he's done it against 8-man boxes. They've learned to throw because they can't always run against 8-man boxes. Like, a good team isn't just going to load the box every time. So Ashton Genty's going to get yards. And then when you do load the box, they still know how to throw.
Yep.
Boise's going to compete.
Yeah. I like these predictions, though. There's some great storylines we could have here. I think the only guarantee here is I don't think Arizona State wins a game. I don't think they can.
I don't know. I think that's going to be slept on there because I think it's probably the least watched team outside of SMU.
I would say after SMU.
Yeah.
And maybe Indiana. I feel like people don't go, ooh, Indiana's playing. Arizona State's kind of on in some weird times.
Yeah.
That wraps up that. Did we miss anything? I feel like we covered that well.
So there's been some baseball breaking news in the meantime.
I did see that. You can announce that quick. We can do that really quick. So we can do both.
First off, the Yankees signed Max Fried to a 8-year, $218 million contract. Crazy that pitchers are going for what they're going for right now. Second one, Blue Jays are getting Andres Jimenez from the Guardians, which is kind of a big deal. I think they could potentially move Bo Bichette then. And then Juan Soto.
Juan Soto got fucking paid. No deferred money. I loved it because the thing I love about baseball is the storylines and him going from Yankees to Mets. He's an instant, what's the term? Villain for the Yankees. Yeah. So that's going to be electric to watch. The Subway Series just got a lot more entertaining to me. And he didn't go to the Dodgers. So, and no deferred money. Get rid of deferred money. That's insane.
I will make a prediction that we have a salary cap in MLB in the next 5 years.
I feel like I have said that. I don't have proof of it. I don't know if it was on a podcast or just to somebody, but I've said, I'm like, there needs to be a salary cap because I think it was the Ohtani contract
on here. Yeah.
I think it was the Ohtani contract because, we're deferring money out 10 years. And like, no, you need a salary cap. And not even to make it more competitive because maybe to make it more competitive. Because as a Tigers fan, I'm looking at this and I'm like, ooh, we got Alex Cobb. Woo. And then these other teams are throwing out hundreds of millions at these people. Detroit's a big market too. Like it could be a big market. We're not a small market. We're not Milwaukee, Wisconsin. We're not fucking Tampa Bay.
Props to the Mets for not having to pay off Juan Soto and Bobby Bonilla at the same time.
They've been waiting years to be able to open it up after Bobby Bonilla's gone. So about time. All right, NFL then. Let's start at the top with the jersey on the chest. Lions take down the Packers in. If we had no bias, we would say, man, that was an awesome game. For me,
I would
awesome
agree.
game.
It was a great game.
Yeah, we can take our bias out of it now that it's over. But that was probably one of the better Thursday night games we've had this year. I think, was there a Ravens-Bengals on Thursday night that was fucking awesome? I think there was.
Was that Thursday? If you count Thanksgiving Thursday, Bears-Lions was pretty good for Thursday.
I hated that game.
Yeah, Bengals-Ravens, Week 10.
That game was fucking awesome. We'll start with... Hang on, I got a burp. Excuse me, apologize for that. Let's start with Dan Campbell's testicles. Let's start there. So 4th downs, we went 4 for 5, which is phenomenal. But when you go back and you look and you see that he went for it on his own 30 and didn't get it, you're like, oof, I don't know about that one. I hated that in the moment. Packers went and scored. Next drive, they got a pick and took the lead. So all of a sudden, it's like, Jesus, we just gave them 14. That was after the half. But end of the game, it's 31-31. The Lions went out there, lined up to run a play. I'm like, they're drawing them off sides. Granted, sorry, I should have said this. There's like 42 seconds left. They called a timeout. They weren't able to drive them off sides. They call a timeout. It's 4th and inches. Most teams would kick actually every team since like 2000 would kick a field goal. Packers have no timeouts, take the lead. Then all of a sudden the offense trots back out on the field, and I'm like, we have to go for this now because you can't call back-to-back timeouts. That's a penalty. You can't take a delay of game. It was already a somewhat long-ish field goal. Like, he's really going to fucking go for this. So I'm like, okay, maybe they are taking the delay. Because I know Jake Bates likes longer field goals. He's better further away. Well, his only miss has been an extra point, like a 35-yarder or something. So, but they snap the fucking ball. And then Jared Goff falls. Then he hands the ball off. And we get the first down. We milk the clock. We kick the game-winning field goal. Crazy, crazy finish. But the Packers, man, the slow starts just kill them. Now, granted, they got it back. But first half, what was it? Jordan Love had like 7 pass attempts in the first half.
Yeah, he was like 3 for 7 in the first half.
Yep. And then second half came out. It was almost like they had set it up, though, because second half, I don't know if it was your first drive or not, but Christian Watson got hit on a deep ball, and he was wide open. He got absolutely torched Carlton Davis. So it was almost like they had set it up because I think first half he was running lots of slants, and I think he kind of did a little stop and go, and Davis just bit because he was wide open. And then just throughout the second half, it was just shootout. Josh Jacobs, 3 touchdowns. He had a good game. What are your thoughts? I'm kind of talking here. What are your thoughts?
Do you want the thoughts on my own team or your team first?
Well, I know you're going to complain about the refs, so we can go right to that if you want. We can shut that shit right down.
Yeah, I mean, I think that the Lions are becoming the second coming of the Chiefs when it comes to getting calls.
When do I get to jump in? I'm ready.
Go for it.
So the penalties in this game were Packers 7 for 59, Lions for 756. So super tight, evenly called game.
Yes, but there was a lot of missed calls.
Okay.
That's what I'm saying. It's like I think
5 fourth downs you could have stopped. 5 fourth downs you could have stopped.
Yeah, no, I'm not saying that
No, you are saying though. You're saying that the refs gave us the win. That's what you're trying to do.
No.
You always do this. You say, I'm not saying this, but you do say it.
No, I genuinely don't think that the missed calls changed the outcome of the game. But seeing how many missed calls, like the whole pass interference thing, the one that was so it's not even necessarily that you guys aren't getting calls. It's that calls are going in your favor. Like the Watson pass interference that was called, which was pass interference. That was horseshit. No, it was not.
It's a pick play.
Okay, well, so then if you call that pass interference, the next drive, the Lions on the exact same play. That's what I'm saying.
The only difference is it's a little. This is going to sound insane, but this is truly what it is. If you go back and you watch, I watched the all 22. I went crazy on the Lions-Packers game this week. But if you watch it, every ref isn't looking at Laporta right there. It's insane. And then the Watson one,
that's what
Watson
I'm saying.
one,
Like, it's
2
crazy.
of them were. That's what I'm
saying. It's crazy that it happens the way it does. Like that's what, I don't think it would have. Well, I guess the pass interference could have changed the game.
That one,
but I don't think it's intentional. Maybe. I just think that the way the Lions play has shifted the way the refs call them. And I think that they're becoming a Chiefs-like team when it comes to how they referee them. And they give them a little bit more leeway because they know it's good for the NFL. They know it's good for what the fans want to see. And that's what I'm saying. Like I'm not blaming the Lions for any of this. I'm just saying I think the refs have changed the way that they call Lions games. And it's frustrating to see, especially when you're playing against them and it's an in-division team. I'm not even going to call it a rivalry yet. So, what do you think of the Jordan Love Zadarius Smith play?
That was a missed call. Yeah, he smacked him in the head. That was a missed call. That's the thing, though, is that there's every football game has missed calls. It's just in this game you noticed more. You probably went on social media and looked for more. That's what I noticed.
100%. Well. I said to Paige too on Sunday night. I was like, God, I'm so pissed off because I thought that was a good game, and I don't think that we deserved to win that game based on how we played. And then as soon as I go on social media, I get so pissed off because I see all of these missed calls. I'm like, I don't want to be pissed off. Like I have to be pissed off because it's
it's the fucking algorithm. It somehow knows that you look at football and stuff throughout the week. So, the game just finished and you're on here. Let me show you all of these Packers fan accounts that are finding every single missed little ticky-tacky call. Granted, a couple not so ticky-tacky, but it's the same thing for me.
I will also say there's quite a bit of this that's coming from non-Packer accounts too, and that's where I'm starting to get shocked. I
think let me try to predict which one of these are. ML football. You send them quite a bit. I think they're a Packers fan. I think they're a Packers fan. Listen, every Lions game, this one they didn't find. There wasn't ticky-tacky. I already admitted that there was a couple blatant, but every Lions game they go through and they post. So the Lions being good and playing well, it has created haters as well. Which part of that is our fan base. Some of our fan base is
that
atrocious.
Video that I sent you where the Lions fan was saying how
we don't claim. We don't claim.
I get that, but I was infuriated. This Lions fan is saying how the Packers are poverty and how we get food stamps while the Lions get to stay inside and eat.
Yeah.
Brother, we are 9-4.
Yeah. We
are not poverty.
The only way you do that is if the Packers are below 500 and we're running away with it. Like, you're going to make the playoffs.
There's
a big chance we see you guys again.
Tell me the last time the Lions made an NFC Championship game, and then we can talk again.
Last year.
Sorry, 1-1. Not made one.
There you go.
I was going to say. No, it's just
there are some insufferable Lions fans. And you know what it is? I don't know. You probably never ran into it in Wisconsin, but there are Lions fans now that I'll run into that they act like they went through all that shit when they were horrible. And, how good is it that we're so good? And, we beat everybody. And that's the worst Lions fan because they didn't go through the mud, so they don't know how to be humble.
There's definitely Packers fan, and it's more of the opposite of man, we had Brett Favre, we've had Aaron Rodgers, Jordan Love is fucking garbage, and
right. It's the fair weather fans. It's the fair weather fans.
They expect that just because they were so good for so long. I think you're forgetting the 2 or 3 year period where Aaron Rodgers was not good. There's a reason we didn't keep him. There's a reason we traded him. He was not good at the end of his tenure with the Packers. And for teams to just expect Jordan Love, who has sat on the bench for 3 years, to come in and be a Hall of Fame quarterback, don't get me wrong, I do think he's good, but he's definitely not on the level of prime Rodgers and prime Favre. That's just, you can't expect that yet. And nobody
I feel like he's not in his prime yet either. Prime quarterback is 20. How old is he?
I think he's 26.
I was gonna say prime quarterback is 29 to 32 usually, unless you're a mobile quarterback. But I would argue that Rodgers' prime was probably right in there as well. But back to the fans thing. So our group chat for fantasy football, we talk shit because we're playing each other. But for the most part,
this game, which I was kind of shocked.
For the most part, it stopped. I think it's quieted down as well because the Packers are winning all these other games. They're going to be in the playoffs, right? But it stops and you move on. You're on to the next opponent. I see these people on Twitter where they are Lions and Packers aren't playing. Lions win. Packers have a struggle. They post these clips and haha, look at this. Bro, that is huge little brother energy. And I hate it. But we don't claim those folks. But yeah, maybe just to kind of find a wrap up here. The Lions tried to throw this one away. Huh?
I was going to say, at least on the fans, I got more to say quick. But
oh, okay. Go ahead then.
Well, I was just going to say, as far as the actual game, I don't obviously the team played dog shit in the first half. The offense played dog shit. I don't think the defense was that bad. Obviously not having Jair again hurts. I think honestly Jair might have, if he doesn't come back this year, he probably has played his last game as a Packer. I think he's either cut or traded. Which I don't really mind. The offense in the second half, if we could consistently play games like that, we would literally be up there with the Lions and the Chiefs and the Bills as Super Bowl favorites. If we could play how we played in the second half every game, we would be in contention for the Super Bowl every year. And I just don't understand what is happening. I get a lot of it is probably also on the offensive line and Jordan Love not processing things quick enough. And hopefully that comes with more maturity. But that first half was so hard to watch. And I even know the Packers are a second half team. Like, I fully have accepted that we are a second half team. And honestly, part of me didn't even want to watch the first half. I was like, after the first couple drives, I was like, maybe I should just like pack it in, watch second half. I also think if we targeted Jaden Reed more than one time, we'd probably win that game as well. So
I think there's a reason that he wasn't getting targeted. He was getting blanketed.
Yeah. I also still think
Terrion Arnold was on him.
I also still think Kirby Joseph is a dirty motherfucker. So
we're not gonna we did that whole thing. We'll kind of watch that as it goes, but he's not dirty. Tucker Kraft had a good game, I'd say, for a tight end. 3 catches for what, like 40 and a tud. It's a pretty good game for
41 and a touchdown. Yeah,
pretty good game for a tight end. I think he summed it up perfect after the game. Maybe it wasn't after the game. Maybe it was later this week, or earlier this week. But he did say. He said we were playing aggressive and we weren't playing smart. And I think that sums it up perfect. That gives you a slow start when you're playing with your emotions. And because I do think the Packers team, maybe they don't hate every single Lion, but I think they hate the Lions. One, because they're at the top of the division. You kind of have to. Also, maybe they do all, think Kirby's I feel like teams view us as cocky as well as dirty with Joseph. But that's typical for a slow start. You go out there all pissed off, you're angry, you're aggressive, but you're not playing smart. And I think that kind of sums it up perfect. Also, the Christian Watson fumble was a big swing because it was 10-7 then, right? And you guys were driving, or no?
No, we hadn't scored yet. It was 10-0 at that point.
Oh, so it wasn't as much of a swing as I thought. No, it was 7-0. We got the fumble and then got the field goal, so it wasn't a swing at all. But sweet play. Maybe it was almost a swing for you guys, though. You drove down and had a touchdown, no problem. But then we had the touchdown to close out the half as well.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, Dan Campbell, or no, when was that?
I will say, as far as Dan Campbell, I think the tides are starting to shift a little bit for Lions fans, at least. Not so much of like fire him and stuff, but getting to the point of like, all right, there's a point of like stupidity and ballsy. And sometimes he's getting more stupid than he is ballsy. And at some point, that's going to backfire really bad, and then fans are going to be really pissed.
I think for me personally, obviously every fan's different. Excuse me.
I already know what you're going to say. You're going to say he's consistent with it, so I don't mind it. I
like the consistency, and my mind will change immediately when it bites us in the ass. And it's all, not scary, but it's like, hey, be careful that it hasn't bit us in the ass all year, and then maybe it does in the playoffs. Like last year, you were consistent with it, and it cost us in that 49ers game. So
how pissed would you be if he would have gone for that fourth and inches, we would have stopped you and drove down and got a field goal?
I'd be pretty upset. I told this to my dad. I said, look, if we get stopped there and the Packers don't score, we go to overtime and then we lose. I'm like, you went for it, sure. But if you don't get it, you guys win. I'm like, it's the total opposite reaction of like, man, I hated that call to go for it on fourth, take the points, let the defense work. But you guys were driving all over the defense all night. You get the touchback at the 30. You're 2 plays away from kicking a field goal to tie. So,
well, and I also understand going for it. I saw a good tweet that summarized it, and how the Lions had scored 31 points. Trust your offense. The Packers had scored 31 points. Don't trust your defense. Right. You only need a couple inches. Like that's probably an 80+% play that you convert on that. They had already been stopped once. The odds that you get it this time are very high. Like I fully understand going for it. It is ballsier than shit. And props to Dan Campbell for having those balls. But yeah, I think honestly, we're inching very close to the line of Dan Campbell, you're a dumb motherfucker, and Dan Campbell, you are fucking ballsy.
At this point, somebody said to me, they were like, oh, it was on PMT, where how is Dan Campbell different from Nick Sirianni? Because Nick Sirianni goes for it all the times, and it's bit him in the ass. The difference is that it doesn't work for Sirianni. It's working for Campbell. But he's on a fine line where I could flip like this, where I'm like, you got to stop fucking doing this. But our defense is at a point where we only have 4 starters. Well, McNeil went down. So we had 3 starters out there that we had at the beginning of the year.
Back.
McNeil did not re-enter the game in the second half. No, so he came back in for like a play and then was like, they were like, wait a second, because it was a head injury. But so he was missing. So then like It's like you can't trust that defense. It's full of a bunch of bums. Your only starters are Tyrion Arnold, Carlton Davis, and then Kirby Joseph and Brian Branch. The whole D-line, or I guess Jack Campbell too, so that's 5. But 6 year 11, are backups. / I guess Zadarius Smith you throw in there too. But I think I'm not during a regular season game. I don't think I'll be mad. No, I will, because we have to we're in a tough spot. We need that 1 seed. We can win. We can lose one of our last. What do we got left here? 3? No, 4. We can win. 4, we can lose. Yeah. We can lose one of the last 4. And still we have tiebreakers with everybody. So,
Packers can clinch this week with a win and a Falcons loss, or a Falcons tie, and then a Thursday night tie, which would be that'd be kind of fucking fun.
You pretty much need to you need to have a better record than the Bucks or Falcons, whichever one doesn't win that division. Should be easy enough.
So we do clinch this week though if we win and the Falcons lose, or they tie, and then Thursday night ends in tie. And then the Vikings can clinch this week if they win or tie, if the Rams lose or tie, or if the Packers win or tie. Yeah.
All right, let's fly through these other games since we spent a lot of time
Luckily,
there.
I don't think there's that many big games.
I don't think there is. Jags, Titans, 10-6, Jags, nasty. Now I have nothing to say. Jets, Dolphins win 32-16. Aaron Rodgers threw for 300 yards. Tua
Did
looks
you
good.
see what his Aaron Rodgers injuries have been that he's been playing through?
No. Give me the list.
It's like a sprained ankle, a sprained MCL, a something with his hamstring, and I think a shoulder issue that he's been playing through. So.
Yeah. Typical Rodgers. He's probably taking perk 30s for every game.
Very much Jets fashion to be up and then lose in overtime again.
Yep. Vikings over the Falcons, 42-21. Jordan Addison and Justin Jefferson had a field day. Vikings pulled away late. Kirk Cousins. Do you think they won't bench Kirk Cousins out of respect, or do you think Michael Penix isn't that good?
No, I think that they would very quickly bench Kirk Cousins if it means them missing the playoffs. I think we're like right on the line of potentially. No, like I'm saying, if they lose one more game, they might bench Kirk Cousins. I think it's that close.
Yeah, I mean, he's been awful in the last month. So
yeah.
Saints over the Giants 14-11. This game was pukey. The Giants somehow drove down the field and had a game-tying field goal, and it got blocked.
Drew Lock is fun. It's not good, but it's fun.
Eagles over the Panthers.
Question, actually. Is Alvin Kamara washed?
No, he's having a phenomenal season. He just had a bad day.
Against quite possibly the worst defense out there for him?
No, I know. I think if you look at this, well, that's the thing, is that we were kind of watching it together, and they kept putting in that Miller dude. They were kind of splitting him. So he was still the lead back, but
I think there's
he's definitely not washed though. His stats
Saints,
are very good.
I wonder what his contract looks like, but I wonder if there's potential that the Saints try and trade or cut Kamara this season and just restart.
I mean, he's almost got 500 yards receiving and almost 1,000 rushing. So,
yeah, but the package they could get for him if they try to trade
I don't know, 29-year-old running back. Like he's to the Derrick Henry age, and Derrick Henry's producing crazy. Kamara's having an okay year. Yeah, I'm having to argue for him to be having a good year. Yeah. Eagles over the Panthers, 22-16. The Panthers had this game won, but Xavier Legette couldn't catch the football. Would have been an electric upset. Mentioned it earlier. The Eagles have some clubhouse issues. Jalen Hurts, not good. I heard that he can't read a defense. I haven't really noticed it myself, but I saw a lot of tweets about him not being able to make pre-play adjustments, and it kills him. Oh, Emmanuel Acho, he's the one that did it. He did, huh?
I think he's just gotten overhyped from being on a very good team.
Yep. Emmanuel Acho broke down all the film, and he basically looked at A.J. Brown, and he had 6 or 7 routes where he was wide open. Jalen Hurts saw him and didn't throw the ball.
Yeah, the one down the middle of the field was bad.
Yep, there was the one of them was a touchdown to Devontae Smith, but he had to force it. A.J. Brown's wide open on the goal line. Like, what the fuck? And then there was another one, A.J. Brown wide open over the top, who he had him beat, He can also jump over anybody. Like, let that thing fly. And he, like, pumped it and then checked. Like, you got to just trust the guy.
How hurt are you for fantasy because of that?
Not at all, because I did the math. Because the rest of my team kind of meh, whatever. Those two would have had to put up 25 more each or a combined 50 for me to make the playoffs. So I had to win, and I needed to outscore Brock by 30, and which wouldn't have been possible. So not hurt at all. I'm a little mad because A.J. Brown missed some games. I had 2 1-point losses. One of those, he was gone. But also, Kenneth Walker's having a bum year. I kept him. So there's other people to blame. They had some really good weeks. They won me some games. So Steelers over the Browns, 27-14. A little bit of a snoozer there. I don't watch a lick of it.
Browns have not won in Pittsburgh since 2003.
Yep. They also have not. What is it? They haven't swept since like the 80s.
Oh, I did not know that.
Yeah, that was the other part of that. They did, however, beat them in a playoff game in 2020. They'll always have that. Baker Mayfield, shout out. And then they let him go. Bucks over the Raiders, 28-13. This one was a lot closer than it seems. The Bucks got a late touchdown. The Raiders are going to have the number 1 over pick. They're probably going to take, who is number 1 overall this year? Is it Shedeur?
Shedeur, probably.
Which is crazy. I don't see him being good, man. I just don't see it. You know, look at him at Colorado. He has to. Yeah, Jamarcus Russell 2.0. I think it's coming. But Jamarcus Russell was dominant in college. How do you see a guy like Shedeur at Colorado going 9-3, and you're like, ooh, that's my number 1 overall pick?
Not to go back to the Heisman for a second, but Travis Hunter didn't even win the best player in his conference, by the way.
Yep.
Shedeur Sanders did. So
yep. Who's the last Heisman ever not win best player in the conference? I couldn't tell you. I doubt it. Seahawks over the Cardinals, 30-18. Dominant win for them. Kyler Murray has not looked good lately. The NFC West continues to be a what the fuck. So the Seahawks have a 1-game lead on the Rams. I think they have the tiebreaker. But then the 49ers, they're staying in it. They're 2 games back. So who's the other team?
Zach Charbonnet, very good.
Seahawks, Cards, 49ers, Rams.
And
yeah, Charbonnet looked better than Kenneth Walker does. So it makes you wonder, you know. However, I don't know. Was it because
I don't think it actually does, but
I know the Cardinals' rush defense is very bad, so it could have been that. And then Bills and Rams, game of the week. Rams win 44-42. Bills almost had the comeback. They got the ball to the 2 or the 1 with a minute left. Clock was stopped, right? And then they decided to run the Josh Allen sneak, even though they had 3 timeouts. They should have ran a pass play. Roll out Josh Allen. If he scores, he scores. Then you can kick the ball off and stop the Rams, which you had just done easily. And then you could have got the ball back in Josh Allen's hands. Just a stupid play call on McDermott's part, I think, if he called it. I don't even know who calls the plays.
I don't think he does. But
just an electric game. It wasn't really back and forth. Huh?
Puka Nacua is the best receiver in the league. He's not, but he's fucking awesome.
Disagree. He is top
5.
I can agree with that. Jamar Chase, definitely by far and away the best receiver in the league.
Yeah. Justin Jefferson too.
Let's see. I might throw Puka too, dude. He's just always open. No, I got to put Jefferson too. Jefferson, okay.
I was gonna say
Chase, Jefferson. I'm gonna put Puka at 3. Where am I going 4-5? Who am I missing here?
A.J. Brown, Garrett Wilson, Devontae Smith, or not Devontae Smith. Devontae Adams, I guess.
No. Amon-Ra's kind of having like an off year, but I would still put him top. I mean, bias. I'm obviously going to sneak him back top 5. I'm going to A.J. Brown and then Amon-Ra.
That's fair.
I think that's what I'm doing. Ooh, wait, I forgot about CD. CD 5, yeah. Amon-Ra 6.
That's fair. Tyreek Hill.
He's looked off. Anyways,
too many kids.
49ers over the Bears 38-13. Nothing to say there, I don't think. Absolute blowout. Their running back got hurt again, though. The 49ers are just
down to like their 5th string.
They're a blue tent for running backs themselves as an organization.
Yep. And
then Sunday night, Chiefs over the Chargers 19-17. Chiefs Black Magic, man. This game was a snooze fest. Chiefs We're down 17-16. They got some calls, but it's just exactly like we said earlier, like it's Twitter, like they find these plays, but there was one egregious hold that was missed. And then on the last play to get them the first down to milk the clock, false start by that right tackle.
I mean, he false starts every play, but
every single play, but they were calling it that night too. That's the thing for me. They had been calling it all night, and then they didn't on that play. They get the first down. And then the real black magic was their kicker puts it off the upright and it doinks in. Every single other team in the league that doinks backwards and they lose the game.
Probably the hardest doink I've heard in a long time.
Dude, it was so loud and it doinked in. Like, that is just some horse shit.
It was ridiculous.
I couldn't believe it. And then Monday night, actually,
team. I had Matthew right.
There you go. Monday night, actually, pretty good game. Bengals over the Cowboys, 27-20. Jamar Chase, holy fuck, 177 yards, 2 touchdowns. Joe Burrow, 369, 3. If only
Chase
they had
Brown also, and
Chase
Rico
Brown
Nautil.
Also phenomenal. I forgot that he Illinois product.
Yeah,
I forgot. You know what I'm doing right now?
He's got a twin brother too.
You know what I'm doing right now in my head is kicking myself for trading him in fantasy. Could have finally had a young back I can keep for years and years, and I traded. I mean, I got Jonathan Taylor and James Cook, so I'm not like pissed. But I made that trade, gave up a first, thinking, all right, playoff push, and I missed the playoffs. Like, I'm so hurt.
Partially on Jonathan Taylor too.
Jonathan Taylor, shitty end of the season.
Yeah.
Kenneth Walker, I got to try to trade him, and I think I can. I think I'll be able to dump him off on Meeker because he's a State fan. I think he'll take him. I just got to get my first back. If I can get a first for Kenneth Walker, I'm back. Championship's on next year. And then I need to unload the farm and just get one of your fucking guys to break up your dynasty over there. All we need is one off-season torn ACL, and we're good. Then we're back. The rest of the league. Oh shit! I'm slowing down here. Like, we're done. We still got to do Paige's picks. Let's fly through these.
Before we get to those, I do want to mention my parlay that I found out that I still have open today.
Yes.
So I have a $10 futures parlay that I completely forgot I put out at the beginning of the season. I don't know what made me think to check it, but I went and checked it. So it is a touchdowns parlay, 6 legs. The 3 legs that have hit so far are Marvin Harrison Jr., 7+ receiving touchdowns. Good. Jamar Chase, 10+ receiving touchdowns. Good. Jahmyr Gibbs, 10+ regular season rushing touchdowns. Good. Mind you, these are all regular season props. The 3 that I need are Josh Allen, 13+ regular season rushing touchdowns. He needs 4 more in 4 games. Keon Coleman, 5+ regular season receiving touchdowns. He needs 2 more in 4 games if he can get healthy. And then DJ Moore, 7+ regular season receiving touchdowns. He needs 2 more in 4 games. This was $10 boosted for $5,824.90.
Phenomenal. Do you know if you sent that to us at all? I think you did, and I didn't tail it, but I built my own. Because
I might have. I don't remember.
I think you did, and I think I probably said something about why'd you use a boost on this, but then I saw, they gave us a boost. So then I was like, let me check mine, because I knew I had 2. So I had a yards one, which is dead because of Mike Evans.
Yeah, I have a yards one that's dead because of Olave.
Unless he can get, I think he needs I put him at 1250, so he needs 650 yards in 4 games, which I guess is technically doable, but
too big
unlikely. And then my touchdown lay, all were pretty close except for I can't remember now. Oh, Devontae Adams. I had him 10+. I think he's got 5. So, but that one with Devontae Adams, it was only 5 for 690. My super crazy extreme one is dead as well. But I do have I've got Sam Laporta, 11+ touchdowns. He's got 6. So if he gets 5 in these 3 games, or 4 games. If he gets, so there you go. He needs 2, 1, 1, 1. That's it. The thing that helps you greatly there, you're in a great spot because first of all, how about the tear that Allen's been on to get you back there? Because that would have been for a second.
He's got
he had 3 last week.
7 touchdowns in the last 4 games.
Yeah. Yeah, and he had 3 this week and then 2 the week before. Yeah. One of them, it's only rushing though. That doesn't count receiving.
Yeah. No, it's only rushing.
Receiving. Oh, okay. Yeah. So you count as receiving. But yeah, still just an absolute tear for him to get you back in it there. That's crazy. But we'll be tracking that closely, obviously.
I kind of wish I didn't check it because now I'm going to be sweating this every week.
You know what you got to do is you can't do this because you can't forget. There's nothing you can do. I was gonna say nope, because it's in your head. I was gonna say delete your app and just not go in, but you have it memorized now. So
I will be out of a legal betting state for like a week, so I won't be able to bet on touchdowns. So not sure how much that helps, but
maybe Keon Coleman will get 2 this week, and then DJ Moore will get 2 this week, and then you can hedge with Josh Allen under touchdowns every single week. No, that won't work. No. Perfect situation for you is DJ Moore, Keon Coleman get it done. Last game of the season, the Bills have to play their starters because they can't lock up a 1 seed, so they're going to be playing. Last game of the season, Josh Allen needs 1 to cash your parlay. You just hedge and take his under. I don't know what apps actually have unders, but I know there's one out there.
ESPN.
DraftKings does.
Do they now?
I think so. Now, you got to be careful with that, though. I just thought of this, too. He could get another receiving touchdown. That would cash the anytime touchdown, but not your bet. Then you're fucked.
Yeah, there's not really a way to hedge. I just got to ride.
The only way to hedge it would be to sell the slip to somebody else on one of those sites. Just ride it. You didn't even know about that money anymore.
$5,800 though.
It's fucking wild. It'd be your biggest hit ever. Ride that shit out.
100%.
Yeah. You know what this is gonna make me do though? You know what this is gonna make me do though is next year, I'm gonna fucking put out so many of these now.
All my best balls are dead, by the way.
Yikes. All right, picks. We gotta do picks. So we're going long. Yeah. Thursday, Rams at the Niners. I'm taking the Niners.
You didn't mention records. Franke had a horrible week, and I'm very back in this now. You're at 139 and 69. I went 8-5, 130 and 78, and then Paige sneaking up a little bit. Not really, because she went 8-5 as well. 123 and 85. She jumped the gun a little bit on us. Yeah,
she jumped the gun a little bit before Sunday night. She was only 5 games back of me, and then she's like, "Ooh, I bet you I beat you." And then she's like, "Let's do $10." And I was like, "Okay, deal." And then she proceeded to get Sunday night and Monday night wrong. So now she's 7 games back, and it's pretty comfortable for me. But yeah, I'm trying to catch Franke here. I'm not gonna go safe. I think this week had a lot of. It's gonna sound like safe picks, but I think it's a favorites week. Outside of I picked a couple upsets. So Rams at the Niners. I'm going with the Niners.
Paige and I are going to take the Rams.
Sunday. Chiefs at the Browns. We've all got the Chiefs. I do have the Browns as a long shot, though. So don't be surprised if I'm right in one way or the other. Unless they tie. Imagine they tie and I'm just double wrong. I missed my spread and the money line. Well, that'd be a push.
Then I think we all get a push.
Yep. Bengals at the Titans. Paige has the Titans. You and I are rocking with the Bengals. I want to go back and look, but I think I'm so bad this year picking the Bengals. But I just can't stop because every game they're in, they don't really get blown out. Commanders at the Saints, we're all taking the Commanders. Ravens at the Giants, we've all got the Ravens. Cowboys at the Panthers. I'm going to slow down on this one. I'm taking the Panthers. The Cowboys are giving up. If you watched last night's game, Micah Parsons walked out of that place like he is fucking done. Cooper Rush sucks. The Panthers are arguably the hottest team in football with how close they're losing these games against good teams. They're going to beat the Cowboys.
Who do you think would win in the game, the Bengals or the Panthers?
I think that would be an awesome fucking game, but the Bengals. I think the Panthers' defense is worse than the Bengals.
Okay, perfect. So, yeah, I'm going to take the Cowboys. You said thanks for the freebie on the Panthers. Thanks for the freebie on the Cowboys. This is too easy. Paige also says, oof, Cowboys. She's been riding with the Panthers.
It's a tough one for her.
Cowboys are her
those
team.
Those are her 2 teams. Yep. But you're both wrong. That's a freebie, man.
She did say to me this week that we're Panthers fans now because we want to move to Charlotte. I will not.
You know the Panthers have looked amazing. We watched that. Also, they're fun to root for. We watched that game on Sunday.
They are fun, but I will not commit to being a Panthers fan.
I think that would be probably the most depressing fan base to be a fan of. Because like the Raiders, at least you have like a sweet stadium, some cool uniforms, Vegas. Yeah. Jets at the Jaguars. You and I have the Jets because we know ball. Paige took the Jags. Trevor Lawrence isn't playing again this year. Mac
You
Jones
never know.
Can't win a football game. He just did win a football game.
He did win a football game.
But the Jets almost beat the Dolphins, who are a really good team. Not really good. They're a pretty good team. And the Jags barely beat the Titans. That game was so ass, 10-6. Why didn't I put my 401k on the under? It was so easy, so free. I think that under was a little bit high, too, because both had scored some points the week before.
Mm-hmm. Speaking of the Dolphins.
Speaking of the Dolphins at the Texans. Paige and I are on the Texans. And like you said earlier, rust versus rest.
Yep.
Which side
taking the Dolphins. Are they my long shot? I do have them as a long shot. Taking the Dolphins.
Then into the afternoon slate, Colts at the Broncos. Once again, you and I know ball. We took the Broncos. Paige just here to have a good time taking the Colts. Both teams coming off a bye, though. Should be interesting. Bills at the Lions. Probably game of the week, yeah? Yeah.
Packers.
No. This is definitely game of the week.
Sunday Night Football.
Dude, you're looking at an 11 and what are the Bills? 10-3.
10-3.
And 12-1 teams. Yeah, that's game of the week. Paige and I have the Lions because we know ball. You want to give some reasoning on why you're not going to take the Lions?
I'm taking the Bills. They're my long shot and my lock. And
I want to look at two things. I want to look at you and I picking the Bengals, and then I want to look at you picking against the Lions because I think that's under 500 as well.
It's easy money. So thanks for the free one.
Yeah. Steelers at the Eagles.
Game of the week.
Game of the week, yeah. I'm taking the Steelers. It's my long shot. I do firmly believe the Eagles have some bullshit happening, and this is their only hard game left. Not even hard game. It's their only competitive game left. They have an easy fucking schedule. And I also would love for them to lose this game because then gives the Lions a breath of fresh air.
Yeah, Paige and I are taking the Eagles. So
that might be a freebie. I'm also, Steelers is another one I picked against a lot, and they have 10 wins. Pats at the Cardinals. We're all taking the Cardinals there. Bucks at the Chargers. So I initially had the Chargers, but then I flipped to the Bucks because I'm like, they're fighting for the playoffs. Justin Herbert's banged up. Ah, man, but the Chargers are a good team. They can't run the ball, though. I might flip. Why don't you go ahead, and then I might flip. Paige has the Bucks.
Taking the Bucks. I'm taking the Chargers. Better team right now.
They're also the home team, but there's not really a home field advantage out there. I'm taking the Bucks. I believe in Baker. I'm taking the Bucks.
Okay.
Packers at the Seahawks. I was real back and forth on this one as well. My heart wanted the Seahawks, but my brain took the Packers.
Let me guess. You wanted to take the Seahawks because the Packers played the Lions last week.
That was a huge part of it, but also home game for the Seahawks. But then I realized Packers got 10 days of rest, just like the Lions did, and they are a good team. But the Seahawks, man, I feel like they're another team that I can't pick right. I took the Cardinals last week. We took the Seahawks. Never mind. I got them right last week. So there we go. But yeah, the Lions curse has fizzled out though. I mean, the Bears, no. Who did we play before we played the Bears. The Bears lost, but that's a different example. Speaking of the Bears at Vikings Monday night. We got a two-parter on Monday night. Why don't you go ahead first?
So Paige is taking the Vikings. I'm going to take the Bears just because I want the Vikings to lose a fucking game. So
I completely agree with you. And I initial thought was Bears because fuck the Vikings. I need them to lose. But I need freebies where I can get them, and that's the biggest freebie of the week. Is the
That's
Vikings.
fine. You can have that one. I got the Bills. So
yeah, Falcons at the Raiders, part 2 on Monday Night Football.
This is the game that will not be watched.
This is the game that they should put at this game should be played at 3:30 p.m. and finish when people are getting home from work and be like, oh,
yeah,
all right.
I'm taking the Falcons. Both teams are ass. Paige says she's taking the Falcons. She heard the Raiders lost their quarterback to a helicopter. I told her that the Raiders, first she had the Raiders, and I said, by the way, the Raiders starting quarterback is injured. He got carted off in a air cast.
I was wondering how this.
I was right next to her, and she goes, "So he got." Or so, I don't remember how she said it, and I was like, "You didn't get fucking chopped up by a helicopter." Yeah, it was good.
Desmond Ritter though, watch out. But I'm taking the Falcons as well. I don't know if I said that, but that's all we have this week. Who are you rooting for in the Army Navy game?
Army
as well. Go Army. Have a great weekend. The System Tanks, Dorsum Tuddies. We'll see you next week.
Peace.